Hey everybody, this is Clay and Melissa Diaz on Turtle Reads Podcast. How are you, Melissa?
I'm good, Clay. How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
You're okay? You're not having a great day right now.
Nah.
We were just talking about. Yeah. Okay. You're locked out of your apartment.
Yeah.
Fuck. What do you do?
Not apartment, house.
Oh, your house? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I forgot that. I'm not in New York anymore. I feel like saying apartment, implying that somebody lives in an apartment here, that's kind of like an insult, right?
I mean, whenever you do have a house, it's nice.
You say it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's similar to New York, but, you know, nobody can afford a house. So that just never happens.
Yeah.
Are there even houses in New York?
Exactly. Yeah. No.
It's just all apartments.
Yeah. Even the ones that look like houses, when you look inside, there's 20 Mexicans living in there. So they're not technically, they're just kind of horizontal apartments.
Well, yeah. I'm feeling a little bit better now. I'm here to do the podcast and shit. And we have two really good guests. Gene Getman back on the podcast. Actually come and do a book, even though you haven't read it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I have.
Okay, listen to what this is how he reads books. Okay.
Yeah, I can't. You know, when people say I can't read, like I can't read as in temperamentally.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
He does not have the temperament to read.
Fiction is hard for me. It's hard to get through. I don't know what it is, but I did listen to half the audiobook. This was a while back, actually. I made an attempt, which DUNE is a terrible book for an audiobook.
Yeah, I've heard that. Somebody else was saying that actually the other day.
Yeah, and this particular audiobook was just schizophrenic. They had different voice actors for the same roles across different chapters. It made absolutely no sense. And they were British too. It was just weird. And sometimes male actors will play female roles, but they didn't even sound female.
Yeah.
So it's like, hi, I'm Jessica. Cheerio.
Yeah.
Just be odd. So I couldn't get through that.
I think I might almost prefer that to a male voice actor trying to do the female voice. That's really jarring.
But then they would do that too.
Yeah, they did that
They
too.
would mix it up. It was just
Randomly.
completely random.
Yeah,
And sometimes it would be the same guy, be like, and then Paul said, I'm Paul. And then Jessica was like, hi, Paul.
Yeah. It's like listening to Sesame Street.
It was ridiculous. So I couldn't get through that and I gave up. And then for this time, I just had ChatGPT summarize the book for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which I was very offended by.
Yeah,
I just started yelling at him right away. In spite of him, I wasn't trying to yell at him, but I had an elevated pitch. Okay, and I was like, you can't understand the book if you do that. You're missing everything. The plot is a vehicle for everything the book's about. Because he, you know what he said? I'm gonna say, okay. He's like, this story is basically Pocahontas. And look at his face because he read the book. He likes this book, and it's just like if you look at the plot summary, that is the takeaway, sort of, right? He's like, it's like Pocahontas / Avatar, right? But I'm like, but you're missing the point.
Yeah.
Avatar is the stupid version of Dune. That's actually more accurate. Avatar is the like low level, mindless consumer story of Dune for just the average consumer who doesn't want to invest a lot of time into thinking about all the other shit that the book is actually about. So then I just yelled at him.
I also think Frank Herbert, the author, would have just hated that more than anything. It's like a part of the like backstory of the book is that they overthrew all AI because human beings weren't thinking and reading and stuff.
Right.
So
this is all crazy. Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's kind of like, this is why we have to burn this all down. Because of this kind of shit. Because people are using ChatGPT to get Reader's Digest versions of the most complex books ever. And that's all we're going to do eventually. Because you know what I realized when he told me what the ChatGPT basically told them what the summary was? Is that that's what everybody does now with so much. And it's the reason why when you go online, you see people have that kind of postmodern dismissal of old stuff, like old literature and stuff, where like, this is basically just this guy's in the closet. Right? And it's because you are an idiot. Like, you didn't read the thing.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Sorry, not you. Not you.
That's what you said earlier. You're just repeating yourself now.
Yeah.
I think it would have been kind of hilarious if ChatGPT was like, actually, the stories about AI is awesome. And
Oh yeah.
It's actually super sick, and that's how we should all read books.
Hey, maybe that's why ChatGPT gave you that summary, because it didn't like the fact that story is about overthrowing AI.
Well, in contrast to that, Justin O'Donnell, our other guest on the podcast, he's you've read it like 3 times, you said?
Read it 3 times. Big fan of the movies. I actually wrote Dune, actually. That was me.
That's awesome, dude. Wow. So you changed your name from Frank Herbert.
That was my pen name.
Oh, that was just your pen name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frank Herbert. I actually wrote it with ChatGPT. Actually,
that's great.
But yeah, it is basically like Pocahontas. My favorite thing about it, besides the whole like that being the basic storyline for Pocahontas, is like I like the rivalry and ultimate final battle between 2 different like princes, Fade and Paul.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that type of shit. I saw it coming like halfway through the book. As soon as Paul had his like ritualistic combat with one dude, and then Fade fake staged a slave fight with himself, I was like, oh, these 2 are gonna fight at the end of the story for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I love that type of shit. So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Something that like I find interesting about the book is it's kind of like you were saying, it's like Pocahontas basically. It does kind of have that, sort of hero's journey sort of arc to it. You got to beat the evil bad guy. The prince comes back from, exile, defeats his enemies and stuff. But it's like a subversion of that, and it tells you, it's kind of like a dark twist, because he's not really the good guy. And
right. Well, it's the cynical analysis of that, right? It's a cynical analysis of someone living a hero's journey while knowing it's the hero's journey, knowing it, and then leaning into it in order to get revenge, basically.
Yeah.
But that's where the book is insane, right? Because this book is okay. Let's do a quick plot summary, right? So Dune, basically, we're living in the future, right? Space Arabs have taken over the known universe. Okay, Space Arabs.
No, the Space Empire, who has subcontracted to different families. One of them is Space Arabs, and then one of them is like Space British.
Well, but the Space Arabs have conducted a jihad against artificial intelligence, basically, because it was. It's not entirely clear what was happening, right? But basically, AI was slowly making humans irrelevant, right?
Yeah,
and harming our ability to thrive, right? So they got rid of AI through a jihad, right? That spanned some centuries, right? And then it just reconfigured the trajectory of the human evolution, basically, where we refocused on optimizing humans for computational tasks, right? This is the land that we're right. And they do that with the aid of this rare resource called the spice.
Melange.
And the spice, right, the melange, which causes, among other things, an ability to gain some insight into the future, right? To have some level of prescience, right? It extends your lifespan significantly. It turns your eyes blue. It's also kind of it's a narcotic, it's a poison, and it's addictive, right?
And it helps them with space travel. It allows them to navigate through space, traveling at high speeds and shit.
Right. But the prescience is the ability to see into the future, right? Is a part of the navigational skill.
Yeah.
Right.
And also that comes with being Benny Gesserit. Yeah. Benny
Gesserit. But so we're not there. So
we
got the spice. We got the scarce resource. So it's being mined in the only place where it can be found in this one planet called Arrakis, right? And basically that scarce resource has created this power structure in the future that's comprised of, and now this is where I'm gonna need some help. Part of it is the main top of the hierarchy, which is the emperor, right? The imperial government and his forces, the Sadar Corps, which are elite military. Then just beneath him is a whole aristocratic class, which come together in a council called the Landsraad, right? So that's another power structure. Then there's the guild, which they basically monopolize all transport of spice and other things, right?
Space Travel Guild, right? Then there's CHOAM, which is basically privatized.
Like it's in their investment structure, right? So it's kind of like FANG or the NASDAQ or something. That one's less clear to me, right? But and then finally, Space Jews, yeah, they really are though. They fuck if you the books that follow this one, they really are Space Jews. They're the same thing they did in Star Trek. Deep Space with the Ferengi. You know what I mean? Where they're just like, we love money.
Let's go gamble some money. Oy.
We're small. We have weird noses. We love money.
Yeah. I was gonna say, at least in Frank Herbert's defense, he didn't make them like goblins with big noses like in Harry Potter.
Yeah, just like way obvious. Yeah, Gringotts Bank. Right, with the yeah, they literally have long noses. It's crazy how much that happens. But and then finally we got the Bene Gesserit, right? Which at face value seem to be the sort of religious foundation of the future, right? They basically implant themselves into religions across the universe, right? They make themselves essential to it. People can call them Reverend Mothers. They're like the Catholic Church, but
for some reason only female.
And they're all only female. But I think that might be because of the effects of the spice or something.
No, they can literally choose what gender the baby is going to be in the womb. They can just change its gender.
Well, the reason why, yes, they can. But the reason why probably it's female mostly or only is because it's a womb, right? So what they're actually doing is running this really sophisticated high level like 4D chess genetic optimization program,
eugenic,
right?
Like on a grand
basically
scale.
Eugenics.
Yeah.
They're conducting eugenics universally for humanity, right? And so the advantages of them being all female would be that they all have wombs, so they can all participate in the breeding program as needed.
I find that incredibly transphobic.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It is. So, okay, so this is the world we live in, right? And then the plot is basically that Paul Atreides, who belongs to one of the aristocratic classes, his father, the Duke, Leto, is given the planet Arrakis to run. And the people that were there before, the aristocratic family called the Harkonnens, right, had to leave because of it, right? Yeah. So they're enemies.
He's the only Bene Gesserit male to be born in like ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Paul is. Yeah.
Yeah. So he has like special powers.
But we don't know that yet. We don't. First, they move to Arrakis, right? Then he has to go through that test with the Reverend Mother with the gom jabber, right? Yeah. Where she places a needle called the gom jabber with his neck, right? And they put his other hand in the box, and then he has to prove he's not a quote unquote animal, which is basically a human being who doesn't have self control. So
the idea is that it's causing him intense pain, his hand in the box, and an animal will instinctively pull it out.
Right.
But a human can have the will to not do that.
And not get poisoned with the gom jabber lethally.
But also doesn't the Reverend Mother have the will to not kill him? It's not like it.
What do you mean?
Like she doesn't have to kill him. She's just manipulating that situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the Bene Gesserit. They manipulate all situations for their breeding program.
Space meddlers.
Right.
It would be kind of funny if he did pull his hand out and she's just like, this kid sucks.
Yeah. What a little shit.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was going to be something, but apparently he doesn't like getting hurt. What a nerd.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to the final thing is Paul is given this test because Jessica was supposed to give birth to a girl for the breeding program. She gave birth to a boy because she thought that he would be this messianic character called the Kwisatz Haderach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is like one step above the best Bene Gesserit lady, right?
So, it's like how women are good at cooking, but the best cooks are all
chefs.
Men.
Yeah, and men. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there were like 3 different prophecies, all of them based around Paul, basically, in this story.
Well, but they're all overlapping. One of them is the Bene Gesserits, which isn't really a prophecy. It's the goal of their breeding program.
Yeah.
And then there's the prophecy of on Arrakis. Yeah. But that's not quite there yet, right? So what happens is Paul gets to this planet, he gets to the test, they discover that he has the potential to be this thing, right? In the meantime, Leto's dealing with the Harkonnens possibly still being on the planet and preparing to kill him, right? And betray him. Somebody will betray him to kill him for the Harkonnens, right? Which happens. Ends up being the Imperial Doctor for the family, right? That means that with the Duke gone, the Harkonnens are going to come back. So Paul and the mom escape, right? Escape into the desert. The Freemen pick them up. They become involved with them and then eventually use them as a fighting force to take back the planet Arrakis and strike a deal with the Emperor so that they can't be killed or eliminated, right? Now that's the story.
Yeah. And the Fremen are the space Palestinians that drink their own piss.
They're totally the space Palestinians.
Oh, dude.
It is so clear that they are that.
And they drink their own piss. Don't forget about that. That's very important.
They drink their own everything. That's one thing with the still suit they have. It's a full body suit that collects literally all moisture that comes out of their body and then filters it out and they re-drink it. So those filters in those still suits have to be the smelliest shit on the planet.
They must think kinky sex is just redundant, right? They see people pissing in each other's mouths. They're just like, yeah, I mean, there's a better way to do that.
Actually, they'd get mad because it's just wasting it.
Yeah, they would be furious. It's like, why are you pissing in my mouth?
Yeah.
I need that liquid.
They just keep pissing
in my baby's mouth. My baby is thirsty. To kill my baby? Leave it to die of thirst? You piss in my baby's mouth right now, sir.
Yeah, that was although still suit's a good idea. I'm just like, that's gonna stink fucking real quick.
They talk about how much it stinks throughout the book a lot.
Yeah. I can only imagine. That'd be ridiculous. But yeah, they the Freemen are pretty interesting. I was reading he had like Frank Herbert had like major inspirations for like every part of the geopolitical thing. He went really deep into research on like all geopolitics. For the Freeman, he like spent a lot of time with a Native American tribe. Like before he wrote the book, one of the reasons he came up with the idea for the book is there was a Native American tribe that was like dealing with the American government actually doing a program where they moved entire sand dunes to like soak up like flooding or some shit. It was wild, but the Native American tribe was watching it going like, oh yeah, they're destroying this creature's habitat and all this kind of shit. And he's like, okay, like he came up with the idea for Dune during that. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe it was necessary for us to stop flooding to
absolutely
not kill a whole bunch of people.
Well, I'm not sure because I never get the sense as I'm reading Dune that he's getting that he's coming to that conclusion that most people do right now, which is really reductionist, right? Which is like, this is just absolutely wrong without no context, just completely out of context, saying like, this is the only thing that's wrong about what we did here today with moving dunes or whatever, right? But it's such a complex problem, right? The issue of managing your ecology. Now that we have the technology to do it, that now we're responsible for it, and we never were before because we couldn't, but now we can. So
we have the ability to change our environment, so we should be changing it a little bit. We need to kind of compensate for the back end possibly a little bit better, but I'm sorry if we gotta move a sand dune to save a city. I'm down with killing a few fish.
Damn. If you would have written Dune, it would have been a different thing. How would you rewrite Dune?
Way more sandworm writing. That would just be half of the book would be writing sandworms.
This is how Avatar got made. You know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. He's like reading Dune and was it James Cameron, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just like, you know what would be fucking cool? Way more sandworms, right? Dude. And also they fly. Yeah. And also they're blue. Why not? Why just the eyes? They should be all blue and 7 feet tall.
I mean, but What?
And fuck with their tails.
Yeah. Yeah. It should have penis tails.
No,
and they bang each other with
penis
it.
tails.
And they also bang animals with their penis
they
tails.
stick it in,
They could stick it in the trees.
Bestiality. It's for sure bestiality.
What the fuck's up with that?
I have no idea. That's
Nobody ever addressed it.
No, I that's a serious issue with that. It's a lot of bestiality in that movie.
Well, it would be one thing if the tail, okay, they did the tail and it's like, we can link up to stuff with our tail, but they fucked with something else. It was the fact that they fucked with the tails too, where you're just like, ew, that's been in a bull. That was in a bull's asshole all day.
They could have made like, they could have like fucked with their tongues or something. Like it could have made it just different appendage.
Yeah. They didn't even spit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have preferred they touch your belly buttons together and some fucking thing comes out of it or whatever.
I've never seen this is real.
Avatar. You've never seen Avatar?
I've never seen Avatar.
They have like dreadlocks and they can connect the end of the dreadlock to the end of the hair of a horse.
Like a USB cable.
Like, and they wrap around each other. But then also they use the end of their hair and they connect it to another person's end of their hair and they fuck.
Yeah, it's suddenly sex.
You know what it's like? It's like if the way you use a laptop is with your dick to type.
Exactly.
And then you also use your dick to talk to a dog.
Yeah. And then also you use your dick for sex.
Use your dick to ride a sandworm. I think I'm getting it
now.
I think it's starting to click now.
Yeah, it's just that with the Avatar movie it was so crazy because you see them do all these cool things with that appendage, right? And then he fucks the girl. So then it was just like, ew.
Yeah. You're not even gonna wash that thing?
Yeah, no washing, nothing. So I don't
know. But yeah, no, he only rode a worm like 3 times in the book.
Yeah.
It's kind of upsetting.
It wasn't the point of the book.
It's a cool part of the book.
It is a cool part of the book. It was supposed to build up to it so you'd be like, oh, but then get back into the other shit. The book was about like all kinds of stuff. It was about,
of course, I know.
Yeah.
But you can have that stuff happening while like have a major geopolitical argument with like super high stakes happening on the back of a sandworm while you're riding it. They're sword fighting on the back. It would be great.
It would be way too long. Nobody would read that fucking book. It's already a long book.
How many more scenes of worm riding would you
What's
have
it gonna take, Clay?
Like double.
Double.
So 2?
Not that much. Just like spread it out, add a little bit here.
See, this is where ChatGPT can thrive with this kind of shit, right? You read the book, and then when you want more of the worm riding, go to ChatGPT and be like, write me a Frank Herbert scene of whale riding, and then he fucks the worm at the end.
What if the worms were part of the geopolitical thing? Like they get a seat at the table for geopolitics.
There you go.
And they're like, well, we're here too, guys. And, like, technically, we make the spice. So, like, you know, could we also have a part of the planet? Like, shut up, you fucking worms. You're ugly. They're like, oh, okay.
We'll just be here on the ground with the worms at all.
That does sound like a hardcore slur. Shut up, you fucking worms.
Yeah. Damn. I guess those were the real victims.
We'll just go kill Beetlejuice then.
Yeah.
Oh, that was something.
That would be a great crossover.
That Stilgar. Whenever Paul first met Stilgar talks mad shit to the rest of the Freemen. Calls them constantly sandworms, like worm-faced cretins, like his own people just constantly talking mad shit. It was hilarious.
Wait, Stilgar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since he meets Paul and he's like, put your weapons away, you like just a whole bunch of shit. It was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't actually.
What was the great insult that Joe Biden had that made no fucking sense? Is he called someone a dog-faced pony soldier?
Yeah.
was it kind of like that?
Yeah, no, I think that's the exact quote. I remember that dog-faced pony soldier.
That's not bad, actually. You know, I'm sorry.
That's like an old man. That's an old man thing where it's like he heard it like in some barbershop somewhere a long time ago, and he was holding that in the back of his mind, and dementia just came all the way back. and caught it to where he's like, oh, I'm gonna call this guy a dog face pony soldier. I just remember that. This is a good one. And everybody's just like, what the fuck?
I kind of like that kind of insult though. I love making fun of Biden, but dog face pony soldier, that's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. That's like a hyper intelligent 8-year-old just fucking talking smack.
Should have used that in the debate.
Yeah, like you elephant nose fucking Cadillac bum. Just do that. Like that format's pretty good.
Just more words.
Yeah. Think of another one. What's another one? You fucking cat elbowed bicycle thief.
Bicycle thief. I do like that one actually. I was about like you didn't have it. You like halfway through. I was like, all right, we're getting diminishing returns on these, and then you pulled it back.
How many of those can you do one more?
I don't know.
You have to go animal face.
Okay. You fucking giraffe neck airplane booger.
Booger.
Nice. All right.
Is Melissa pregnant?
No, I don't think so.
Why did she just come up with good ideas?
Booger.
Yeah,
she's bicycle thief.
She's got the Quizatch Hatterack in her, giving her.
Yeah, he's feeding me. He's feeding me lines right now. I don't know. What did you? Worse. Okay, what was it? How old were you when you read this book the first time?
I had to have been in high school.
God damn, really?
Yeah.
What happened when you read it the first time?
I don't remember. All of high school was kind of a blur to me.
Why? What were you on?
Spice. Actually, I did want to talk. I'll come back to this, but Spice is an actual drug that people. I don't know if you guys.
It's true. Yeah.
I did want to talk about that, okay. Yeah, probably the more interesting story was the second time I read it. I was actually in a mental health hospital.
Okay.
And like my mom brought me the book Dune, and I don't know why. Like I can't intellectualize it, but at that point I was like really connecting with it. Mm-hmm. That book.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It seemed to like it was kind of like a tether, and like the themes and the ideas are like, yeah, this relates to me somehow. A kid on pills. I'm just like
it's extremely relatable though.
Yeah.
That book. I listen. That book totally red pilled me like completely.
Yeah.
I was also doing mushrooms at the time, so that kind of helped, right? But it red pilled me in the sense that I grew up in a family of conspiracy theorists and activists, kind of anti-government types, right? But that book actually shifted my understanding of even that background that I came from. And it helped me understand that even the things that you think are your beliefs are manufactured. That's kind of like, that was like my main illuminating experience with reading it. And I knew that.
Yeah.
But reading it, I was like, yeah, that now it unlocked a new understanding of it for me. Mm-hmm. So how did that, what do you mean when you say that you connected with it? Like, what did it change in you? What shifted in the psych ward, no less?
Yeah.
There's a guy next to you going like, fucking.
You are the Messiah.
Yeah.
You're like, I am.
Yeah. There's Biden's right there.
You guys,
some guy next to you is like, I'm Napoleon too.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm Dune.
Yeah. You're like, I'm the Quizatch Hatterack.
Yeah. I don't know. Something about like, because I was also a philosophy major at the time, and I was getting really into Nietzsche and this sort of like the idea of like kind of losing everything and sort of will to powering yourself back up, and like, I don't know, just like I said, I had trouble intellectualizing. I like at that time, I just more like felt the book. Like I got its vibes, you know?
Yeah. I think a lot of people have that experience with Dune.
Yeah. And it's actually like, I think I kind of intentionally throughout the years kind of tried to keep it that way, to try to keep from overanalyzing it too much and just be like, just like, I feel this book, it connects to me on some emotional and
you
core
wanted
level.
it to remain a mystical experience for you because that was the most meaningful version of it.
Yeah, yeah. And so like I'm an atheist, right? I've been an atheist forever. That's probably the closest thing to like a spiritual book to me, or like a, you know, like a Bible or whatever. Obviously I don't believe that one day we're going to be fucking sandworms or whatever, but like
one can only hope.
Yeah. Why are you putting us down, man?
Yeah, this guy's talking about
dashing my dreams before they even happened, dude.
I thought you said that you just wanted the writing of the sandworms.
Yeah, we didn't know you wanted to be a sandworm. That's fair.
Come on, dude.
Wait, sex? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, what do you gotta get one of those Avatar tails first. So let's get to work. When I started walking around with Dune, the book, first time I read it was around the same time I had that experience I described, right? But I was walking around with the paperback, and the title was just clearly there. And this is how I know that this book is really profound for many, many people, because whenever I would go to a place like a restaurant or something, I was in New York, so I'd be out a lot, and I put it down on a table. Inevitably, the waiter, some guy walking by to the bathroom, some sweaty guy would come up to me and be like, oh, is that your first time reading Dune? They'd look at me, right? And I'd be like, yeah, man, it's amazing. They're like, isn't it just the best? Most wonderful. I mean, doesn't it just blow your mind? You know? And then they're just like, what are you up to? You know, and I'm just like, I'm in the part where Jessica, you know, and they're like, oh my God, it's going to get so good. Oh, good. Have a good day. You know, just have a good day. I can't wait for you to read the book. And this happened more than once.
Yeah.
So
I definitely believe that.
Yeah, you're not alone. Right. What I'm saying is there, and I don't even think there's a community of people. I think it's just individually, some people, this is the book they needed, you know, at when they read it.
Yeah.
I have a friend who, when I told him I read that book, he's like, I read this book every single year in the end of the year. And I do it without fail. Every year I read this book to remind myself. And it's the same thing you're talking about, you know, the will to power, right? And self-discipline and all of the things that kind of open yourself to the possibility that you can shift your trajectory, right?
Yeah.
You can make your life more meaningful, all that shit.
Also, sort of like the idea of, so instead of using computers and AI, the idea is that you perfect the human mind. Like that's what they're trying to do. And so that also like struck me too. I was like, well, I don't want to be like this guy that's always in the, you know, mental hospital for my issues. I want to like work through it and like just better myself mentally, intellectually, philosophically. And like, I wish that was like a value that, or something that society valued a little bit more. I didn't like the way that sounded. That sounded super pretentious, actually.
What you just said?
Yeah.
No, I think what you said was great.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
I think you're asking too much.
Well, what do you mean?
Boy, I don't want to be this guy in the mental hospital. Come on, man. Have a little humility.
Totally.
Yeah. I do remember in one of the sequels, there's when he becomes the God Emperor and stuff, and he's talking about the AI like taking over, and there's a certain quote, and I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it just by Googling it. But he was explaining to somebody else, you know, he was talking about this idea called machine thinking, and he was saying it wasn't just machines that thought, it was humans thinking like machines, and that was like a scary thought, is letting machines do all the thinking for you, which is something we kind of touched on already. And I feel like I see that a lot in societies. People are okay with letting thoughts be done by someone else or something else. Yeah.
Letting thoughts be done for you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of being a human if you're not thinking? You might as well be a plant or like a shrimp or something.
You're absolutely 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the whole thing with the mentats. It was a little weird for me because I don't really understand that part of it. Like they're supposed to, I have it written down. Fucking, they're human computers able to store vast amounts of data and perform advanced calculations on demand.
Autism.
So are they cyborgs or are they humans who just think like computers? Or
They're
are they
autistic.
just straight up like magical autism?
It's magical autism.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Honestly, that I like that way more than like a human computer. They could have just wrote like, yeah, magical autist.
Yeah, they didn't know about autism enough yet.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea because they probably didn't have whenever Frank Herbert first wrote this, they probably didn't have the concept of autism yet.
Rain Man hadn't come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman had
oh man, that's hilarious.
Vaccines weren't as common yet.
Exactly. So mentats are basically people whose, I guess, natural I think they're already adept, or they incline towards computational thinking, rational thinking anyway. But then it gets optimized. Yeah, it's just autism. Yeah, it gets optimized, and they basically have perfect memory. They have they have this ability to constantly take in variables and then recalculate and come to a conclusion about any kind of question.
Yeah.
Closer to
they basically turn their brain into a supercomputer without there ever being like mechanical parts to it. It's all organic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was really cool. Honestly, at first I was thinking they had like, I was imagining them with like a cybernetic attachment on the back of their head or something. But then I'm like, no, I think they're just straight up human. Because one of them, the Pater Baron Harkonnen's first mentat just straight up dies from poison. I'm like, that wouldn't have happened, I don't think.
Yeah, they're not like Data from Star Trek or anything like that. It's just a person.
Also, Baron Harkonnen, have any of y'all ever seen like a picture of what he's supposed to look like?
I like the way I imagine it, because I think the way I imagine it's pretty accurate, pretty good. Because it's his character is pretty crazy. His character, basically, they have suspensor orbs that they use for lights or something generally, right?
Yeah.
But then they also have suspensor orbs that you use to lighten a load. And this guy is so obese, that he actually needs them for his actual fat. Yeah. Like his folds of fat have suspensor balls under them, and so that he can walk lightly.
Oh, so they use robots for that. They maybe should use humans for that also.
He doesn't. He most of the time doesn't even walk. He just floats. So it's, imagine like me, but I look like the villain from 300. And then I'm just floating in the air with a bunch of orbs holding up my fat and just like floating along.
Mm-hmm.
That should be the logo for this podcast.
I was just thinking the same fucking thing.
Were you really?
I was. Send that in a ChatGPT or Dolly or whatever. Fuck me. I want to see that image.
In the TV show, I think it was a TV show. It's something I remember seeing. They depicted it like super hilariously, because the TV show was Sci-Fi Channel, so it was just bad straight off. And like they had him kind of like floating, like flying around. Maybe I dreamed this, I don't know, but he was like flying around and he would like come off camera and then fly like.
Wait, are you thinking about maybe the David Lynch one?
Was that the David Lynch one?
That it's like rock music and he's just like laughing maniacally and just rocketing around the room.
Did he like? Maybe it was that. Did he like fly off screen and then fly back up like right in front of the foreground? That rocked actually.
Yeah, the David Lynch one was the David Lynch version of Dune is insane.
That's a very odd choice of director for this.
I didn't even know that happened. I gotta go watch that because that's. I started watching the new movie and I was like, this is kind of meh, but I think David Lynch would be kind of fun.
The one that didn't get made that really would have done this book justice is Jodorowsky.
That's the best.
Yeah.
That documentary
that would have been the right move, because David Lynch is way too abstract and esoteric for like very concrete ideas like this.
Yeah, and if you watch his version of Dune, it's not great, honestly. Well, there's just some crazy scenes that are really fun to watch.
Yeah, that's the fun part about watching those like side like non-mainstream movies. It's like true. They got some of the craziest scenes ever.
Oh yeah, when I saw this horror movie with Zach Amico one time, where it's basically a house that's haunted that a woman moves into, but it's like satanic.
Zach Amico, the comic?
Yeah.
He's in a horror movie?
No, we watched it.
Yeah.
And for his podcast,
Zach Amico's Midnight Spook Show.
Yeah, he watches all these really good, crazy movies, but this was like one of those off the mainstream types.
Was it House?
It's not House. House is great, but this one was good too, but it was just weird because there's a scene where there's two creepy women who invite the lady over to their house for tea or something, right? And one of them's older than the other. The older one goes to get the tea, and in the meantime, the younger one's just staring at her. And then she fucking lifts a leg up behind her ear and just starts fucking rubbing one out right in front of her, like aggressively masturbating in a leotard. And the woman who moved in is just like, oh my god, but she doesn't go anywhere, right? She's just like, oh, what? And the lady's just like, yeah, fucking
she got
look at it, woman. And then when the older lady comes back with the tea, she just pretends like she didn't do anything.
She got Louis C.K.
Yeah. By some lady.
Horror movie Louis C.K.
Yeah.
Louisa C.K.
Yeah, Louisa C.K. And that movie is really funny. I forgot what it's called though. But what didn't you like about the mainstream Dune? The new one?
It just I felt like it was, I watched the first like 15 minutes and it was a lot of setting, ambiance, big sand place. It just was kind of boring. I wasn't in the mood for that particular type of movie at that time.
Not enough sandworm riding. I got it.
I mean, and like nothing against what they do in the book. That's just what I would have done with the book. Like whenever I first started off, it's a lot of geopolitics to start off, like introducing Lady Jessica, the Bene Gesserits, all this shit. I actually enjoyed that, surprisingly. Like I wasn't expected to. Everybody, Melissa included, was like, oh yeah, Dune, it starts off, it's kind of a slog. And I thought it was going to be like more explaining the science of the world, but it was a lot of like geopolitics and shit. That was actually pretty cool to me. I got interested in that. But if I was going to make the movie, it'd be way more worm.
I feel like you would do that for every book.
Yeah. The Little Mermaid needs more worms.
Yeah, Schindler's List, more sandworms.
Yeah, more sandworms.
That would be such a great movie. Have a sandworm flip a tank. It'd be great. But I mean,
Jules here. There's a sandworm coming in. Where are the Jules?
I'm just a more action movie person, but it's not a bad, like I enjoyed the whole geopolitics of it and stuff, but it was really great whenever they finally did get to the actual fighting and stuff. Like, or not even the fighting, like the assassination attempt on Paul with the little tiny fucking robot bug thing.
Yeah,
that shit was crazy because he was able to show off his power and like catch it with his bare hand, but also like, yeah, that it was about to kill that Mapes chick, that little girl, just because.
Yeah, well, you know, the thing is also, but the interesting thing about why he's able to do that is a part of the whole geopolitics part where they're explaining how the Bene Gesserit trained themselves, which is ridiculous. Like you're supposed to start by training yourself by like that scene from Kill Bill where she's trying to make her toes move again.
Yeah.
But that's their training. It's just like, move your little toe.
Yeah.
Now move your ring toe. And you have to be able to move every muscle individually, like some really high level Pilates, you know? Like you got to be able to move your cheek muscle next to your nose.
You just train to be Jim Carrey.
Yeah, basically.
You just make that face that he makes. Like, all right, you're done with stage one, right. Jim Carrey. Stage two?
Pacino.
Who's stage two after Jim Carrey?
I don't know.
And then I was reading it a lot whenever I went for a family vacation, and a lot of the really interesting, like, reading body language and how they say stuff and everything. And I was started to like think in that mindset while I was talking to my family, and I'm like, I'm gonna call somebody out on some bullshit with trying to do this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Reading Dune made you too powerful.
Well, I was just like, it was in that.
You're going to be a nightmare for first dates from now on.
He's going to be doing the Mentat eye thing.
Woman, are you trying to use the voice on me?
Yeah, that's a funny concept that you were telling me. The voice is like a way that they can speak to get you to do something, right?
Literally,
isn't that
command
just
you.
like being
an annoying
complaining?
woman?
Yeah. This is like your girlfriend's using the voice. Like, come on, hey, can you just fucking use? He's like, fine, I'll do it. She's using the voice on me.
How hilarious. I feel like the voice, that must be the voice. What if the voice is just high level nagging?
Yeah, just shrill complaining. And everyone's just like, fine, just shut up and fucking Bene Gesserit.
Yeah. It's just
so
really,
annoying.
it's just really, really quick. So you don't even like process it.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Whatever, I'll do it. Fuck.
Here's the fucking nuclear code. Just shut up, bitch. She's like, another mission successful.
We are so talented.
Yeah. Which is another woman thing. Let's go celebrate. We just fucking.
Back to the movies real quick. I really liked the new Dune movie. My only complaint was that it could have been a little weirder, you know, like because Dune, that setting, I would have preferred more Jodorowsky.
Yeah, Jodorowsky, yeah.
His vision was.
Yeah.
The artist for that was going to
Unparalleled.
be, what's his name? H.R. Geiger. Yeah, the guy that did Aliens.
Yeah.
The concept art inspired
for
Aliens. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what
Actually,
happened.
the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been crazy.
So a cool thing about the David Lynch one is like, you know, you can, they showed the navigator and it was this crazy fish tadpole human. And it's like, that's still a human being. And that's, some of these things are never really fully explained, like what they look like in Dune. And so you can, and like humans get even crazier than that in the setting.
Zelazu, right? Or whatever, the guild.
Oh, yeah.
That's later on.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but the Tlaxus, it's made up anyway. You can say it however you
Come
want.
on, man.
Yeah.
You complain
You
about
talk about Dune, you just sound like Biden. You're like, it's made up, man. Come on, man.
You complain about all the weird names from the Discworld and shit that you have to pronounce. Shit was way weirder. I can't pronounce half of this shit.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's really bad.
It does actually sound like what Biden says when he fucks up a word. He's like, oh, and you know, the Quisux
It's kind of hilarious how like there's so many weird names in it, and then the main character is just Paul.
I know.
Right, and
Mom.
Jessica.
Yeah.
That's the one that gets me.
And then they even try to give him like a native name, Muad'Dib, but he's like, Paul Muad'Dib.
Yeah. Just call me Paul. Like, wow, what an exotic name.
I'm like Jessica. I'm the Bene Gesserit Jessica.
Yeah.
I'm like so smart.
Yeah, everyone else around him is like, her daughter's named Aaliyah. Leto is the husband, but yeah, Paul and Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. It's fucking, that's so weird.
Yeah, but to space Arabs, 100 billion years in the future, it probably sounds like Celtic. Like the way Celtic words sound to us now.
Honestly, I really like the main villain's name, Baron Harkonnen. That is a dope name.
That does rock.
Yeah, it's the perfect villain name. It really is. Yeah, overall, this was awesome. I haven't seen the movies yet, though. I kind of don't want to. I hate when the movie sucks.
I in my opinion,
Usually does.
It almost lived up to the book.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it was
a watch.
Yeah, I really like that director too. I love like almost all of his movies. I don't know how to say his name's almost as weird as some shit from Dune.
That's why he took the job.
Yeah.
Like,
I was
really
destined for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it's a challenge to like condense a book that dense, and you know.
That's why they shouldn't condense it. Just break it up into multiple parts. I mean, Dune was released as two different books in the first place. Like, it was the first half was released in a magazine. I have it written down some fucking where. It was released in a magazine back in the day. Yeah, originally published in separate serials. a 1963-64 novel, Dune World, and then the 65 novel, Prophet of Dune, in Analog Magazine. So they just split it up into like multiple parts like it was supposed to be in the first place, and that would be perfectly fine.
They actually did do that.
But yeah, but not without having to cut out any of the decent shit, the good shit.
Well, they're cutting it up almost the same way, I'm assuming. And the movie was already like 3.5 hours long. So in total, it's probably going to be about 6-7 hours if you watch them back to back. And still, there's stuff you kind of gotta.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think there's aspects of this book that it's impossible to put on film, that you just can't. You'll never be able to put a really essential part of Dune into film. You just can't do it because that part of the book is written in that same voice that makes it hard to translate other books into film, which is the sort of like author communing with the reader kind of narrative part, right? Where you're just kind of like, and this is because of the pattern of humanity with this, right? Like you can't represent that visually. It's difficult too.
Mm-hmm.
Except with a narrator.
Well, but not everybody wants to put a narrator into a movie because that's a style in and of itself, right? That's like when French people do that, you know, they have like a fucking quirky, like Amélie, right? Where you have like a quirky waltz playing with bells and shit in the background, and then somebody's like, and then she had her first orgasm, right? And you're like, cool.
And nobody wants a director's cut of Blade Runner situation.
Where there's a narrator narrating him looking sad.
Yeah.
You know,
well, also
he felt a sense of loss.
Well, it was I don't know if you've seen that one. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one because there's been so many different cuts of Blade Runner, but like it's Harrison Ford narrating it, and he just sucks so bad at that. Like he does not give a shit.
I mean, he was probably high as shit doing that. So yeah, that's understandable. He's
like, I already got the check for this movie. Dude. Like, what are
you can hear it in his voice.
Yeah.
He's like, another page.
Yeah, I think Harrison Ford was pretty well known for not giving a fuck on sets in the first place. So put him in behind a sound booth, not even in front of a camera. I'm sure he was smoking a joint while doing those takes.
Is that the main drug he did, or what? As
far as I know, I think he's a decent alcoholic, but I know for a fact like every set Harrison Ford went on, he was smoking weed.
I bet he did coke. He seems like a coke.
Oh yeah,
coke type.
Probably the Indiana Jones movies. I imagine he would have. Right. He would have been doing coke for that. Like, I got to be chased by a boulder.
Yeah. That boulder scene.
Oh, he's doing coke again. Get that whip away from him. He's gonna start whipping the Chinese boy.
It belongs in my nose.
Cocaine's the only drug that can give you enough anxiety to look like you are running away from a boulder too, you know? Because that's how you look like when you're on coke.
Yeah.
You're like, is there a boulder behind me? Fuck.
He just goes to sleep and it's just a big crack rock that's rolling behind him. He wakes up, he calls his sponsor.
He's like,
no, that's what he switched out for the bag of gold, was a crack rock. Big ass crack rock.
No, that's actually Hunter Biden after he watches Indiana Jones. Those are his fever dreams.
Yeah. Sponsor's like, oh, the crack rock behind you again? He's like, yeah.
It's a recurring dream. What does it mean?
All right. Well.
Also, another not issue. I might have just like missed the part where they did this, but there was a time skip in the book and I completely missed it.
A time skip?
Like 2 years went by and
oh, the yada yada the book?
Yeah, the yada yada the book. Like halfway through.
Yada yada yada, there's a jihad that kills billions.
Like at one point, Paul is just like older and I didn't realize that till like a few pages past the point where apparently there was a time skip, and I was like, oh, so he's been like 2 years older for like the past chapter now, and I didn't even know.
Yeah. A 15-year-old with a mustache.
2-year-old baby. Who is he, Puerto Rican?
It got me a little confused, like, because at one point his mom is pregnant with Aaliyah and shit, and then he goes out and he's riding a sandworm all of a sudden. and he comes back, and Aaliyah's
Your favorite part?
Yeah.
Yes. And he comes back from riding the sandworm, and Aaliyah's like a 2-year-old kid, and I'm like, oh, so this whole time he's like older now, and that should have been made aware. So I knew that, like, oh, there's a whole new dynamic between him and the native people. Oh, and he has a kid also now too. What the fuck? Y'all could have told me something.
You know what the most fucked up part of that for you is that's where all the sandworm writing was in the book.
Yeah, that's right. So you're just confused and enchanted at the same time. Wow, that must have been emotional.
That'd be a good side book where for 2 years he goes off and he and the sandworm have adventures on other parts of Arrakis.
That'd be the only book that Clay reads.
That would be great.
It's Paul and the sandworm.
I think we just came up with the ChatGPT prompt for him so that he could read that book. He could be like, write a book according to the style of Frank Herbert, where Paul Muad'Dib has adventures with sandworms for 2 years.
This is like the Arab version of the never-ending story.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a guy with Bedouin-like blue eyes riding a sandworm.
Basically, yeah. That's that fantasy. But I think, well, I'm not going to pretend that I know what the motivation of the writer was, but that around the time when they're like, 2 years pass by, what's also happening in not necessarily the present, but in Paul's consciousness as you're reading about all the other shit, he's sitting there unable to tell what time he's in himself. So it's possible that maybe he wanted you to feel that way too, to feel how confusing it is to be trapped at the nexus point of the past, present, and future of the story that you're reading. And to not know where you are for a second, to feel disoriented.
I mean, yeah, because it is he with his powers and shit, he's able to see like the future, and he tries to manipulate it. Like he sees a future where he's a fucking ruler with a bunch of slaves, and they call him Muad'Dib, and that's why he gave himself the name Paul Muad'Dib, to try to change it a little bit. So I kind of get that. But they have ways. There are different ways to signify that, hey, there's time skipped, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, but he says it. He writes it a few times where he's like 2 years, you're 2 years. Basically, you kind of know from his sister being 2 years old. Literally.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like,
she's
I didn't
2,
realize till he comes back from the whole worm writing, and there was whole interactions with him and the Freeman that I was like, oh, he's older. That's why, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, he's sitting there. He doesn't know if he's about. He's sitting there. He's going, did I ride the worm already, or am I about to ride the worm? Like, he doesn't know himself. He's sitting there like, what the fuck is happening? Did I fuck that girl already?
He's just like on a total
Do we
bender.
have kids?
You know
He's totally,
He's getting real heavy into the spice.
Yeah.
That is true. He did do a bunch of spice, apparently.
It's like when you do a bunch of meth and then it's 3.5 weeks later, you're like, did I ride a worm this whole time?
Did I eat a guy's face in Florida?
Dude,
is this a good time to talk about the real world drug spice?
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, because that's like.
And then can we talk about the Spice Girls?
Yeah. And can we talk about spice racks? I'm kind of into that.
Ice Spice.
Ice Spice. Oh yeah, there's Ice Spice.
Oh, what if she's a Benny Gesserit? But she's like the first one.
She could be. Yeah, she's very seductive, right?
If I knew more of her songs, I'd try to do a riff on that, but
please don't. Yeah. What were we gonna say about the spice drug?
I think it's so hilarious that in the book, I'm sure they got the name of the drug from the book somehow, but in the book, it's a drug that makes you immortal and can see the future and super intelligent. In real life, it's a drug that gives you seizures and makes you straight up retarded.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's just, I don't know. I always found that so ironic and hilarious. I had a bunch of friends back in McAllen who would do that stuff.
Yeah, you talk about like K2 and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah, me and my brother did that for a little minute whenever he got busted by my mom for doing smoking weed. So me and him, we got into doing spice together because he was trying to stop smoking weed. And yeah, we would hear the stories of people like having seizures and all kinds of shit. And then we just kept on doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of lizard brain skate punks.
I was at my friend's house one time, and he hit a thing of spice, had like passed out and had a seizure, and woke up and took another hit of the same pipe.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know, like his brain like hard reset or something like that.
When you do that, they just call it riding the worm.
Yeah.
Like, wanna ride the worm, bro.
Yeah.
You're just having epileptic seizures the whole time.
Did you do drugs?
Yeah. I still do drugs. I did.
I used to.
Yeah.
I still do, but I used to too.
Yeah. I did spice twice, and the first time was early on before they kept like fucking with the chemicals to make it, pass whatever laws. The first time I had it, and I was like, oh, this is just weed if it sucked.
Yeah.
And then the second time I had it, I was 100% convinced my friends were taking me somewhere to murder me.
Is this where you ended up in the psych ward and read Dune?
No, actually.
Not no.
Yeah, let's not say no.
It was closer to the time frame than I think I remember.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Did you ever make
So
that
you rode
connection?
that worm directly to the psych ward.
Yeah.
Next stop, Bellevue.
Yeah. Choo-choo. Oh wait, it's not a train. Sorry, I'm a mentat. I'm autistic.
Well, in the world of Dune, a train would be a worm,
Yeah.
right? They don't. They're like anti-technology.
Spice
They don't
punks.
like tech.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did. Me and my brother, we smoked that spice shit for I think 3 years. We did that, and it's not even one particular chemical. One chemical compound would get illegal, and then they would just change it a little bit and re-release it as something else. And some of them were really fucking strong, almost hallucinatory, and then some of them were shit weed type stuff. But it was always, it made me feel like the same feeling I have whenever I smoke weed out of a can.
There was
something about this.
Yeah.
I
Did
don't
you just
know.
say smoke weed out of a can?
Yeah, I've done that. Have you ever done that?
Oh,
Yeah.
like a soda can? Like you
Yeah.
make your own
Yeah.
little bong?
Make
Okay.
a little pipe.
Gotcha.
What'd you thought?
they don't sell cans.
Yeah, I was literally like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This weed technology's out of control. What next?
But yeah, it was just a feeling of unhealthiness about it.
I remember the first time I did, there was something like metallic about it. I don't know how to explain
Came in a can.
that.
Exactly.
It might have been made out of a can, like shredded.
Shredded can.
Yeah.
I would totally not be surprised if it was some, Newport's, there's like Newport cigarette manufacturing.
I mean, I think
Like
it was
some glass in
basically
there.
potpourri. Honestly, I think that's what a lot of it was
Yeah.
pretty much just potpourri that you could smoke, or that you weren't supposed to smoke, but they made it smokable.
Well, they just use it as a substrate. They just give you some leaves, out of their grandmother's flowers,
Mhm.
but then they spray it with the
Yeah.
chemicals.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because you
But-
could smoke any leaf, really.
Yeah.
It'll technically get you high.
You
It's
can
just that
smoke
weed gets
anything, dude.
You can. We could smoke the wood paneling off this the walls, and we would get pretty high. But yeah. How much was spice? Was it expensive or affordable?
It was more affordable than weed. It was like $20 for a fucking gram bag or whatever,
Yeah.
or $15 for. I don't remember. That was a while back. I really hope people don't do that anymore.
They're doing worse
They
shit.
do.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Why?
They're
Why?
doing
At
things
this
that are
point-
worse than spice.
Well, no, yeah. Go ahead, do the crack and
Crystal meth,
crocodile,
fentanyl.
whatever the
Fentanyl,
fuck.
yeah.
Yeah. Fentanyl is just gonna destroy us. Fentanyl, because that's the one that if you touch it, you could even just touch it, and if it's really potent, you can die or
Yeah.
get really sick,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or you could have it
Or
in a
high.
lollipop and have a really good time.
Yeah, okay, Clay. All right. I got some weed in a can to sell you.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's like they whenever they make it for medical use, they say a size of a rice fentanyl will kill you. They make a whole lollipop out of it, and that's what they give to really really sick patients and shit. And
like in hospice or something?
Yeah.
Oh, they give you a little lollipop to die?
A little lollipop of fentanyl.
No, it doesn't kill you. Like it's the right
My
amount
cancer hurts.
When
you want a lollipop?
When you're saying lollipops, I was imagining like chemo kids or something.
Yeah, just like,
No, yeah,
that's a horrifying thought. Here's your fentanyl lollipop, little Timmy.
Yeah. No, it's not for to kill him. Like it's for, I forget exactly what they do it for, but it's for some serious. Yeah. Like it kind of just knocks you out, and
I guess it's a tasty way to not be in extreme pain.
Yeah, that's what it is. But for hospice, for terminally ill children, great.
Yeah.
Right? But to take drugs that are for terminally ill people is fucked. It's crazy. Like, you got to think about that.
Well, they have RSO oil, which is it's Rick Simpson oil.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a dispensary in Seattle where we sold this. Most legal places, dispensaries, they have to regulate their weed stuff to where it's only 100 milligrams within a package. So that's why they have 10 milligram gummies most of the time in a package. RSO oil is made for like chemo patients and shit like that. So it gets around those regulations, and they come in a little syringe that's 1,000 milligrams of THC oil in a syringe.
Yeah.
And it tastes like dog shit, but it will get you high as fuck.
Yeah.
And I think that should be perfectly legal.
You think it should be legal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore about drugs being legal, honestly. I don't know about criminalized, like the war on drugs thing. I'm not for that, right? But I'm seeing what the effects of just weed getting legalized. And I feel like it should have been kept illegal. Just because, so that we could.
Do you know who your co-host is?
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I know it's very controversial for Clay.
This is going to be a debate right here.
Well, because it's like,
there goes the show.
Well, what I mean is, right, I say decriminalize instead of criminalize, right? So no war on drugs, no cracking down, but I don't think it should be encouraged for corporate America to get their finger in the pie of fucking drug production.
I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's the I'm like, we should have kept it away from those people. Now they're going to take it. They're going to make it into something that it's not even going to be recognized. It already isn't recognizable to what it used to be.
Yeah, you can't just smoke a joint anymore, right? Nobody does that anymore. People
you
just
smoke a joint, listen to jazz.
You take a fucking hit of vape, weed, shit. You just fucking blast it into outer space.
That shit never happened before. Might as well just do heroin.
I mean,
my concern with like, so I like mushrooms a lot.
I love mushrooms.
Yeah, that's probably the closest drug to spice, but that's an aside.
Mm-hmm.
I like mushrooms a lot, but you see all these studies coming out, it's like they help with depression and stuff. But the one that really scares me is that they said it helps with productivity.
Exactly.
And like my nightmare scenarios are you take little, pills of mushrooms.
Yeah.
So that you can
so that you can look at your desk and be like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know what this substrate of this table is? Look, I can see it. I can see oh my God, I love writing emails. This is so fun. We're having an experience, guys.
Yeah.
Yay. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, people like drone striking, drone pilots fucking on mushrooms, and it's like life is just one big circle, guys.
That's why, with the exception of maybe extreme cases or where there's like a clear chemical imbalance, you could see it on a fucking brain scan. That's why I feel like most people shouldn't even take an Adderall. Like you should not take any, because to be productive, what a fucking soul killing proposition to take drugs to be productive for corporate America. Corporate America can fucking eat my pussy. You know what I'm saying? Like I wish corporate America.
Call me corporate America.
Yeah, those are our pet names in the bedroom. Corporate America.
Coca-Cola here.
Who is it?
Ooh, a consumer? Mindless consumer, is that you?
Yes. Yeah, fuck productivity, like seriously. And the thing is that every time these people get a hand, you don't even understand what, because I've the like 2 jobs I've had in the corporate sphere already clued me into like everything that we do, they take and distill and then sell back as just the worst thing you could possibly think of. Like all the activism of the last 30 years, they absorbed it all.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got to go to your fucking corporate job. You got to log in. You got to give your pronouns and you have to speak the speak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And now that's compulsory. So that's, and I can't even convey how shitty that is, you know, that they took activist culture, right? And they distilled it into corporate language.
Yeah.
So now you have to kind of walk this tightrope and to keep your job, by the way, right? Where you say everything that is politically correct as just a matter of course. This is just your everyday conversation has to be this now, right? They're like, oh, that's great, gay rights, this and that, you know, like not that you can just believe it. You have to demonstrate it now.
Yeah.
Like jumping through a hoop.
Show fealty kind of
Show
thing.
fealty through that.
Yeah.
I'm having
Right?
flashbacks.
Oh, you are? Did you work in the corporate sphere?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so hard to convey it to people who haven't. I don't know that you have or haven't. I'm just saying like in general, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard because they're just like sleepy about it. They don't understand how much of a hell it is to exist in enterprise culture, especially if you have no interest in, you know, getting to the top of the ladder or really being a part of it. You just want to make money, do your job and go home. They don't want to let you do that anymore. So they're trying to figure out ways to get more and more out of you constantly. And part of that is to tie it into activism. Like, don't you want to stay for a good cause? Or don't you want to do extra work for Black Lives Matter? You know, but they don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter. They want your productivity.
I also think it's kind of funny. The flip side of that too is now conservatives think that they're punk rock. Now they think that they're the counterculture. They'll say that sometimes, and it's like, no, you're never going to be counterculture when you're like, you know, pro, like, you know, taking away people's rights or pro corporate, pro war, and it's just that no, they just found a way to also market the counterculture. They corporate, the corporocracy, whatever.
Corporocracy.
The
corporocracy.
I'm trying to
These
say
horse-faced demon lovers.
I'm trying to say something smart here. They control the culture and the counterculture. That's super fucked up.
Well, conservatism in a way has sort of become countercultural, but Republicans and shit have absolutely like a bunch of like the goobers they are try to take that and put on the mantle of counterculturalism because of it, and it's just like, yeah, okay, dude, whatever.
They're definitely still the establishment. Whenever you have JP Morgan Chase like with gay pride flag shit and Black Lives Matter, it's like, yeah, y'all let y'all shit be co-opted by literally the establishment. It's not the same anymore. Like,
well, nothing's the same anymore. There really is. There isn't a counterculture. There is nothing. Like, we're just completely disenfranchised.
No,
we got shit. You know what we got? We got drugs.
Yeah,
right.
Skanks
for terminally ill
juggalos.
Patients. We're taking
skanks and juggalos.
Yeah,
that's the counterculture.
Fago and Spice.
Kratom.
Yeah.
Fago and Kratom.
Oh,
for people who feel terminally ill inside.
Yeah, that would probably be. Yeah, Kratom would be a close thing to Spice.
Yeah, Fago and Kratom.
Yeah. Never tried it.
Yeah,
I haven't tried Kratom either, actually.
I have. It's
of course you.
Yeah. I say shocking.
It's pretty good. A little bit it's like Adderall, and then a good bit it's like an opiate, a light opiate.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. You can be productive or you can go to sleep.
Aren't there like bars where you could do that stuff at?
Yeah.
Like, Kratom is the same as
the
Kava,
gas
right?
station.
Or they're different?
Different.
Yeah, you get it with the Spanish fly.
Yeah. Right over here.
Dude, whenever, because Gas Digital gets sponsored by Kratom companies every few fucking weeks, there's one gets like, I don't want to say it doesn't become illegal, but for some reason the company goes under and then it just comes back as a different company and they sponsor Gas Digital again, so they get a different digital code to get Kratom from the podcast for like every year or so. And so I've gotten a few big batches of free Kratom, especially back in the day whenever I first started listening to Gas Digital. And it's fun for a while, and then like everything else, you build a tolerance. And then you're just doing a lot with the minor effect of it being you're trying to get to the opiate phase, but you're still in the tolerance level where I'm taking a whole bunch and I'm just super on point, like Adderall. Like I want to go to sleep, but I can't.
So what do you do instead?
You just take more Kratom trying to go to sleep.
It's a good business model.
No,
Let's not talk too much shit. We might try and get them as a sponsor.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I will still do Kratom on camera if we
Have
can
you
get
guys
It sounds
heard
like
of
a pyramid
melatonin?
scheme.
Yeah, it does, right?
You know, the side effects of doing Kratom is doing more Kratom.
Yeah.
That's kind of every drug's angle.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right?
That's a true,
The only one that I like, the only substance that I either didn't immediately hate, like spice, and was like, I'm never going to do this, or just feel the need to like, oh, I got to do this constantly nonstop. The only drug that's been like that for me is mushrooms. And I remember like the first time really tripping on mushrooms, I was feeling really good. And I was like, everything's great. I feel like I'm in the moment. I can actually enjoy stuff. What the hell? And I was like, I should do this. I had the thought I should do this all the time, every day. But then there was something in the mushrooms that was like, dude, you don't need to abuse this the way you abuse every other substance. So at least for me, that was kind of built into the drug already.
Yeah, mushrooms gives you access to that voice you never listen to.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what mushrooms really do. Like you when you get high enough on mushrooms, that suddenly that voice has a megaphone and it's like, hey, stop being a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, you're like, you're okay. No, you're abusing it. You're abusing it.
Yeah.
Call your mom.
Honestly, I like the I would have liked to seen spice a little bit more used. Like, I think it would be pretty fucking cool.
Dude, Clay's vision. Clay's vision for Dune is like Dune in Vegas.
Yes. Lots of drugs, lots of worms, lots of
Fucking sandworm.
Worm rides.
Boobies. Yeah.
It's more like a carnival.
Yeah.
You want to go on the worm ride?
Yeah.
Drink some Faygo.
Free kratom.
The Dunes in Vegas, but Dune.
Yeah. Hey.
There you go.
That's very nice.
But no, yeah, the for some reason I just feel like it would be really dope if the final fight scene, either between Paul and Fade or Paul and the Emperor, if they were just high on spice during it.
Just tripping fucking balls.
Yeah,
fighting.
that would be dope. Like, because yeah, the shot him, the Emperor dude tries to use the poison spur shit, and I feel like it would have been really, because it would have heightened his psychic abilities. That would explain him getting the advantage over him better. I don't know, but that would have been dope.
Those pussy-footed Dune buggies.
But yeah, I like how it ended though. He ended up marrying the daughter of the Emperor. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, but he's never gonna fuck her or anything. She's
No.
just trapped. She's basically a nun.
Yeah.
Suddenly a nun.
Yeah.
And she got trained to be all hot. They trained her to be super seductive and graceful and powerful and just like a luxurious, like luxury wife, you know? And now it's like, well, you can have a room in the West Wing.
Yeah. It's the Maserati you never take out of the garage.
She's just, that's her fate.
I mean, the ultimate trophy wife, pretty much.
I guess so. Yeah, and much like a trophy wife, she doesn't have to do the blowing or anything.
Yeah,
She
exactly.
she could just
He's
take
got-
advantage
he's
of
got-
all the wealth.
Pocahontas over here to fuck, and then just the Barbie doll over there to look nice.
Yeah, for public functions.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
All right.
Well,
I believe we got a heart out, so we got to head out. Thank y'all everybody for watching. Thank you, Gene and Justin, for coming sit with us and talking ridiculous shit about Dune and
I loved
lots
it.
of drugs and shit.
Yeah.
It was
I
great.
probably would have loved it.
You loved about half of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you get it, right?
Yeah,
guess so.
that's how I feel about books.
Yeah.
Right?
You get it,
I mean,
right?
so eventually I absorb enough about it. I'm like, all right, I get it.
Yeah. No,
Honestly, this is probably the best Dune experience
Right.
you could have.
This is like an oral history.
Is
Yeah.
us talking about spice.
yeah. It's Jodorowsky's Dune and this podcast episode. Those are the
Fuck
two
yeah.
so far. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, Justin Dean.
Yeah, man.
Gene.
Hey,
Sorry.
All right.
I keep thinking of
You know my name, right?
Yeah. Well, I keep trying to think of more Biden insults. So it's interfering with my.
She's got a whole nother program in her mind just going on just the
Yeah.
Biden insults. She's like, oh, this is going to be a thing now.
Just for today. All right. Anyway, yeah.
All
Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening and
Thank y'all,
watching.
everybody.
Thanks, Justin. And
And also, well, do y'all want to give any plugs?
Yeah, I have my if you live in Austin, I have my late night laughs ATX at the Hideout Theater, 4th Friday of every month, 10 p.m.
Awesome. Next book we're going to be doing is the Dark Tower Comics, the book 2. That's going to be really awesome. With Janice. That's going to be great.
Special
and then
guest.
upcoming event. This is probably not going to be coming out in time, but we are going to be doing IkiCon January 20th. We're going to be reviewing Yu Yu Hakusho, the manga. It's going to be awesome with Roderick McDaniel. It's funny as fuck. And then any questions, send them to the turtlereadspod@gmail.com. Awesome.
all right.
Later.
Thanks.